All right. Thanks and welcome. The Real Sean 256 with another episode of Evening Crypto. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Hope you're having a great evening. This show is about recapping the news of the day and also getting your TA fix pretty much every evening as often as possible. But we want to recap each and every night and also, again, when possible, recap the week in news within the crypto sphere, everything related to crypto, everything related to Bitcoin, and what's been happening around the crypto sphere as far as news and events, and also TA, what to expect. Also, as a reminder, these TA sessions are not a crystal ball, they're just our best guess at the price action based on what we're seeing on the charts. If you're looking for somebody who is a fortune teller, this is not the channel for you. I'm just trying to provide my opinions based on, again, what I'm seeing on the charts. This is also free content, so if you do not appreciate the free content, you can always hit the skip button and don't let the door hit you on the way out. All right, so looking at the current state of things, market cap is sitting at 253, huge drop from 381 earlier last week. 24-hour volume has kept up around 80 billion, and Bitcoin dominance has stayed pretty steady at 62%, 66.2%, excuse me. That number will continue to climb. I told you guys on my last video, that number should continue to climb as we do see Bitcoin squeezing the life out of these altcoins. So, I mean, look at this. I mean, red bloodbath everywhere, 21%, right? When Bitcoin drops and dips, the altcoins dip even harder for the most part, right? So just remember that. And then when Bitcoin has a pretty good run up, the altcoins are not really following that. So pay real close attention to that. Don't take it for granted. That information is readily available. It's staring you in the eye. I would listen to it. There's a saying, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Bitcoin and the crypto markets are telling us what is going on, and we should hear what the market is saying. Just my opinion. I do want to start off with the biggest news as of recent with the Libra coin hearing, the committee hearing, Senate committee hearing this morning. CNBC televised it. So we're going to start a little backwards as opposed to what we originally and usually do. This is a little loud on my ear. There we go. So Facebook privately pitched its cryptocurrency plan. This is from the Washington Post. A bit of clickbait here, a little bit of fantasy island here with the word privately. It was a public event. Like I said, CNBC had it on live. So just a couple of days after announcing cryptocurrency, again, several of government representatives immediately went out to call for a halt of the Libra coin project, asking Mark Zuckerberg and David Marcus to halt their project before a Senate hearing. So yesterday was the day for Facebook to appear before the Senate hearing and give the committee its version of what they're planning on doing. And it didn't go so well for David Marcus and Facebook Libra coin. They were constantly attacked. They were constantly barraged with questions, a lot of cutting off, not allowing Mr. Marcus to answer any of the questions freely. They were definitely steering the conversation in a very condescending way. Again, constantly reminding Facebook of the mistrust and the every violation that they've had in the recent past with user data, not protecting it, using it for their own benefit, such and such. So David Marcus who is spearheading the Libra project, tried to mollify lawmakers' anxiety about the currency, saying the company wouldn't move forward without complete buy-in from Washington. I'm not really believing this. I do think they're going to move forward regardless. I hope so. We agree with all the concerns he said. Libra, known as a cryptocurrency, a type of decentralized digital token that is interchangeable with dollars and other forms of traditional currency, and can be used to make payments online. Its most popular incarnation has been Bitcoin. Um, Again, this is completely wrong. Cryptocurrency or Libra coin is trying to take a page out of Bitcoin's book, not the other way around. The cryptocurrency that saw huge gains in recent years before, blah, blah, blah. Still, many in Silicon Valley and the Wall Street and on Wall Street see cryptocurrency as a potential game changer for the global financial system. It already did. It has definitely interrupted, definitely changed the way we do business, or at least the way we think about doing business and sending payments around the world. We now know of a much, much better way, much more efficient, and less red tape, less hoops to jump through, and it's a lot cheaper. Um, I do want to come to another part of this. Still fell on the same day. So it fell on the same day as two other inquisitions of the tech industry in Congress: Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon. So the other part of this is that Congress is trying to introduce a bill that would prevent big tech companies to basically follow in Facebook's footsteps. And here we have, these giant companies who will be prohibited from following in Facebook's footsteps going forward, not allowing them to create their own cryptocurrency or their own native currency for their platform, where people can perhaps exchange their fiat currency for a native currency based on whatever platform you are trying to use. They are definitely trying to stop at every cost. I mean, Libra, we have to give credit where credit is due. Libra has definitely sprung this whole movement from Congress. Suddenly, they're paying attention. And, there's two things that I want to note here. Libra coin being a cryptocurrency, pseudo cryptocurrency, right? Because at the moment, it's not going to be very central. It's not going to be very decentralized. In fact, it will be quite the opposite. It does kind of mirror what EOS is doing and what Tron is doing as far as having a sort of DPoS system, delegated proof of stake system, where they get to choose the initial block validators or transaction validators. For the time being, supposedly after a few years, the network will become more and more decentralized, right? And since Facebook has launched this thing, it has caused an uproar in government, and they want to definitely stifle the project, and definitely they want to prevent from Bitcoin deploying their native currency, because they know they will compete with the dollar, and it will put a lot of banks, a lot of these people who are funding a lot of the initiatives, a lot of the campaigns for a lot of these politicians. That bankroll is going to disappear or minimize, which would mean the end to the career of many politicians within Congress. So you bet your butt that they want to stifle this process. They want to make sure that this doesn't happen. And the other thing is, they are going against Facebook, or they're trying to stop Facebook from doing this, because there is a central point of failure. There is a CEO, there is a president, or a spearheading individual that is carrying out the process or carrying out the project and trying to deploy this native currency out to its 2 billion plus. I think it's actually way over that. If you combine WhatsApp and Instagram, the account goes over 3 billion users on a daily basis, active users. And so, thus, obviously, the government does want to stop the project from happening, because they know that the dollar could potentially be exposed to high competition. And leads me to the next point. This isn't a government that's acting like a government that wants to promote free markets and a free economy. It's quite all the opposite. By stifling, again, technology, innovation, improvement on age-old systems that are no longer they're no longer efficient. They are archaic in the way that they function, and they're very expensive, and they're not convenient either. Um, one of the things about the cryptocurrency and one of the reasons why it is a great method of or great means to transfer money from maybe one country to another, uh, aside or regardless of the volatility and those claims that it just doesn't serve as a good medium of transferring value from one place to another because the volatility. Well, they're forgetting about a really important point here. When you're dealing with fiat currencies in countries such as Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, um, what's the other place? Places in Asia where their own fiat currency is very volatile. By the time, say, you send something from the U.S. over to, we'll call Zimbabwe, by the time that money reaches their homeland, the fiat currency will have change in value and price, and thus will be subject to that. Whether it's in this case, a place like Zimbabwe has just been bombarded with devaluation of their currency. So by the time it reaches that individual, the fiat currency will have devalued, and thus um, it just makes for a very inconvenient exchange, whereas a cryptocurrency will settle immediately within minutes. So you only hold that risk for a few minutes, as opposed to you send it in on Monday, the money won't be there till next Monday, or later on the next week, right? When you can instantly settle with cryptocurrency, and that is something that they're refusing to understand. Um, in Congress, they just want to regulate. They just want to slap this blanket of regulation on top of something they don't quite understand. And to prove this particular point that they don't understand what they have at hand, one of the congressmen completely ignored one of the biggest points that David Marcus made during the session. Is David Marcus went ahead and said, "Hey, we're opening this up to the community. We won't own it. This is how we can guarantee that we're not going to meddle in with the data that is being transmitted through the Libra or the Calibra wallet. This will be an open source project. We're opening up to the community, so it will belong to the community." And it's like he never even mentioned the fact that this is an open source project going forward. I don't think he understood what he meant by that, and completely ignored it, and just kept asking him about the Facebook track record as far as data and the maluse of their client information. So just in my opinion, and you don't have to agree with me. You can always leave it in the comments. We can debate this, but in my opinion, Congress is just too quick to want to regulate anything that is, even though they don't quite understand what's going on, and they don't see what the possible benefits of this cryptocurrency could be and how it could change and improve the lives of many, um, mostly outside of the United States, but also within the United States. I mean, how many millions upon millions of people send money outside of the U.S., right? So it's just a very narrow-minded approach, in my opinion, for Congress to take this approach. And we did see Caitlin Long offer her comments. If you want to go back and look at the the report that Caitlin Long sent into Congress prior to the hearing, it's also another disappointing fact is that even though she offered up her advice on her perspective and how this should be approached, Congress clearly did not heave her message, did not try to incorporate that into today's session, completely ignored it and threw it by the wayside. So why ask for her comments if you're not going to, in any way, shape, or form, include them in today's hearing? So she did tweet it out about this, about the hearing. She's proposing a drinking game for every time the service committee mentions money laundering, um, national security, terrorists. All that cliche stuff that we have come to know and just be absolutely bugged by it. My reply to that is, why are governments so concerned with KYC AML laws if banks under their jurisdiction consistently launder trillions of dollars per year, highly hypocritical to flex regulatory muscle when Chase and company are laughing all the way to the bank running with laundered funds? Seems like all Americans, we're borrowing this dirty money. All right. So, um, yeah, definitely in my opinion, definitely something that really gets under my skin. Again, let's have a debate. Tell us down in the comments how you guys are taking this, what your thoughts are, what your opinions are. I do want to go ahead and get off my soapbox here and get back to the usual with the TA side of things. If you're not following me on Twitter, um, my handle is the Real Shot 256. I tweeted out this morning that Bitcoin was breaking through its prior formation at the bottom of the triangle. Um, it was looking like it wanted to break through, and it actually did. In fact, let's bring the drawing tools back. Last night's video, I showed you guys this trend line of support here in the green line here, and today earlier we saw that Bitcoin was trying to break in, and actually finally did. So it made one stab at it down here, second, third time around, it actually broke down and abandoned the ship as far as building a triangle going forward. Um, Two things, in my opinion, that I was telling you guys I wouldn't get bearish after we broke down below the pitchfork formation here, the bottom of this pitchfork here, this blue area. If we broke down from that at 10,000, that's where I would get and start to get bearish. And in fact, we can definitely say that this Bitcoin has closed a few 4 hours, 1 4 hour below, or actually it looks like 2 hours now, two 4 hour candles below the 377. We're definitely below, and we have now abandoned this pitchfork, which leads me to believe that we do have a change in pattern, a change in momentum, and we could start to see Bitcoin reach down to lower lows as we have seen it. So not only did we break down from this trend line here of support, we also broke down through the 377, looking very, very bearish, and it looks like it's not done yet. We also started to make lower lows here. This pivot low, this pivot low. We also surpassed this prior local low here and made a lower low in this sense. This is very, very weird. Usually, Bitcoin will have an orderly rise or an orderly decline, and right now it just looks very, very much kind of like all over the place, not having its typical behavior. Maybe the recent news has caused some people to sell, and that's why we're having this functional price activity. I'm not too much of a believer in that news has anything to do with the price of Bitcoin. But again, this looks kind of disorderly in my opinion. We have from this point to this point we have a higher low, but then we immediately set a lower low that surpasses the past local low, right? And again, we're passing through and breaking down below the 377 is a bit scary. And again, I'm actually watching out for again Bitcoin to further reach down and maybe into the $8,500 area. I have been telling you guys for quite a while now about Bitcoin trying to reach the gap down here and fill it at $8,500. I didn't think it would do it this quick, but I knew that at some point it would have to go back and refill the gap. We see it now. This could be it, right? It kind of faked us out this past time, stopping at around 90. What is this? 98, 96, depending on the exchange you're trading, you're looking at. But in most exchanges, it did reach 9,600, and then it bounced from there, obviously, and went back to put another lower high, actually, at around 13,000 and some change. And now it does look like it has more determination to go back and fill the gap at 8,500. It is looking as such as of this moment, as of today. Again, things could change at any moment. I don't have a crystal ball. This is what the charts are telling me. The RSI is also looking pretty tired on the 4-hour. We went into the neutral zone, but could not sustain the momentum, and we actually took a nosedive from there, and we're back down into bearish territory. It looks like the bears have the lead right now. They do seem to have the momentum in their favor, and it does look like Bitcoin does want to reach again down to lower lows. Let's look at the 3-hour real quick. 3-hour still looking the same in the bearish territory, being held hostage by the bears. They don't want to let go. They don't want to allow for Bitcoin. I mean, just red everywhere in the 4-hour and the 3-hour, which carry a little bit more water when it comes to price action and being sort of an indicator of where things are headed. Let's look at the daily. We just closed the daily about 3 hours ago or so. 5 hours and 42 minutes, or sorry, 3 hours and 42 minutes. The daily is again looking not as bad as the 4-hour, although again the 4-hour does carry a little bit of weight. But if we want to look at the real macro trend and the real picture of things, again, Bitcoin is looking like it does want to keep going down, breaking below again this line of support, breaking below the 55 that was coming in with confluence at the bottom of this pitchfork, and we've now breached also the 382 down below here, which again they're all bearish indicators. We're going to find a little bit of support here on the 89 this Alcoa 89 here, which is coming around to $8,700. And again, just a wick down below to the 8,500 area will fill that gap, and then from there, we could have a bounce. So I do, based on what I'm seeing here, it does look like it wants to do it. That's the more likely scenario. That's not a guarantee, but that is the more likely scenario, somewhere in this area here. Actually, I do want to leave a. Actually, let's get rid of this thing. Not looking. Change my mind on that. Let's set up a horizontal trend line here of support around 8,500. Come on. Jeez. There we go. All right. And we are going to change the color to reflect support. We're going to paint it green. There we go. Sounding like Bob Ross here. There we go. Looking pretty beautiful there. Might even add a tree over here. So we should find support here, and then have a bounce into this. Hopefully regain the pitchfork. Once we get past this area here and regain this old formation, then I start to get bullish again. But until we get to about 10.5, 10.6 area, once again we regain the pitchfork and the triangle, then I could start to change my mind on things. Also, the 21 might be coming in at that in that area as well. So if we do happen to pop up above the 21 exponential here, then again I start to get a little bit more confident on Bitcoin. The good news is we haven't broken the 200 EMA down below here, this blue line. We're actually pretty far away from it, which is a good thing, because again, looking back at price action here since April 2nd. We broke above it and haven't looked back since. And we've actually gained a lot of momentum and separation off the 200. So until we break the 200, um, then I start to get a bit bearish, right? And we do see it here in price action. It once we broke down below it, we just kind of stayed below. We did pop up above it, but then Bitcoin did not feel strong and confident enough, and came back down below it. And we were below it for a good, let's call it, since July 34th. Wow, I mean, all the way back to a year ago almost, and finally regained it back in again April 2nd, and we haven't looked back. So this is the daily, and it does look like we shouldn't panic until we breach the 200 EMA at around 7,200, 7,250. If we do break that area, then I start to get really, really bearish. And at that point, we can say, to all those perma bears that are calling for $4,000 or $3,000 Bitcoin, they may not be, they may not be sounding too crazy after all, right? But we still have some ways to go for that to actually happen. So I do expect to bounce here off around 8,500. Once we fill the gap, then we're free to take off. We're free for takeoff, as they say. All right, so that's kind of where we're at for the here and now. I don't really want to dabble into alts because everything's just looking very gloomy, and everything's looking very, very similar. Not a whole lot to really digest there. Not a whole lot to dissect either. So yeah, I mean, that's XRP looking pretty droopy. We called it on last night's video. BNB coin looking very, very bearish. No support in this area except for previous. In fact, we're just resting on this previous spot of support here, this previous high, serving as support for the current moment. If Bitcoin keeps dumping, then that's going to break down, and we're going to reach for possibly this next line of support down here at around $18, which will be tragic for BNB holders. Even though they're having a huge burn for their board members or something like that is what they're doing. And then we're looking at Link also breaking down. Link was the sign or the beacon for strength, and now it has broken down below the 200. This is where we start to get again bearish on it, because this 200 EMA has also, like Bitcoin, served as the moral line of support going back way back to about this point here back in May 2nd. Once we broke above it, we've remained above it. Kind of like Bitcoin, we did dip down below it, but then bounced right back up, got a lot of momentum and separation. I mean, you could say, it can be said that Link actually had the most separation off the 200 for a while out of any coin in the market, including Bitcoin. But we have now come back to cross it to the downside, and it's really not looking good. I mean, the 377 is definitely acting as support, textbook support here. So look out for these things. If Bitcoin again reaches down to 8,500, I do think we're going to come back and retest the 10 simple right here about 1.89. Would be a great buy there. Again, once we fill the gap, I do think we're going to have a pretty nice bounce in Bitcoin. And Chainlink being one of the hottest things around right now in 2019, I am feeling like, and again, this is my opinion, not technical analysis. This part here, what I'm about to say, is purely my hopes and dreams, my pipe dreams, if you will. But I do expect a strong bounce from Link, since it has been again the hottest thing in 2019. It has gathered a lot of community support, a lot of admiration from the community. It has established itself as a solid project, again, climbing the crypto charts all the way up to, I think at some point I think it reached spot number 14 or 13 at the highest, and has since, scaled back a little bit to about 16 or 17. So, but, longer term, I do think once Bitcoin does bounce, then Link will follow with Bitcoin. Link will definitely follow Bitcoin. and regain its momentum. Again, that's just my opinion. That's just what I'm thinking for it. Litecoin, very bad, very bad. It doesn't help that Charlie Lee came out and said that the halvening price was already priced into the current price of Litecoin. So not looking very good. Things not looking very good for Litecoin right now. I would wait if you're looking to buy into it. I don't think the bottom, the current or local bottom is going to be in just yet. I do think it's got some room to dip down. So, just keep your eye on that. Ethereum, again, breaking down below every area of support here on the 4-hour. The RSI is also looking very droopy. We did reach down below the 21 and into the more bearish territory as well. Let's wrap it up here with Cardano. We already know that how that looks. Looks awful. Looking really bad. Hot, same thing. I mean, pretty much same as Cardano. Pretty sad to see this, since Hot was actually on fire, pun intended, for a while, and just setting higher highs continuously and just going on parabolic, just dreamy run, and now giving it all back. VET, VChain, same thing, giving it all back, and EOS, same thing, giving it all of it back. This is one of the ugliest looking charts out of all the alts that we just saw too. Again, it's testing the 21 here on the RSI, but again, I do think that Bitcoin is going to reach down to lower lows, so I do think this is also going to continue on its downtrend. All right, guys, so that's all I have. Hopefully you enjoyed the time with me tonight. Hopefully you got something out of this in exchange for your time. And if you did like the video, please like and share. Comment down below. Let me know if I missed something, if you guys are in agreement with me, or maybe you think I'm full of shit. Let me know either way. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great line. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great night.